Bless the Lord, O my soul. O my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before. O my soul, I'll worship your holy name. The sun comes up, it's a new day dawning. It's time to sing your song again. Whatever may pass and whatever lies before me,
let me be singing
when the evening comes. Bless the Lord, O my soul. O my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before. O my soul, I'll worship your holy name.
You're rich in love and you're slow to anger.
Your name is great and your heart is kind. For all your goodness I will keep on singing. 10,000 reasons for my heart to find. Bless the Lord, O my soul. O my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before. O my soul, I'll worship your holy name. And on that day when my strength is failing, the end draws near and my time has come, still my soul will sing your praise unending. 10,000 years and then forevermore. Bless the Lord, O my soul. O my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before. O my soul, I'll worship your holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul. O my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before. O my soul, I'll worship your holy name. Worship your holy name. Lord, I'll worship your holy name.
They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Teach me, Lord, to wait. Teach me, Lord, to wait. Down on my knees, till in your own good time you'll answer my pleas. Teach me not to rely on what others do, but to wait in prayer for an answer from you. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Teach me, Lord, to wait. Teach me, Lord, to wait. While my heart is aflame, let me humble my pride and call on your name. Keep my faith renewed, my eyes on thee. Let me be on this earth what you want me to be. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Teach me, Lord, teach me, Lord, to wait.
So, does anyone here like history? I'm chuckling to myself as I said anyone here because it's really just me and Ken and I, for all you grammarians and former school teachers. It's just Ken and I here in the auditorium right now, but I'm just wondering out there, wherever you can hear me, does anyone like history? I've always been interested in history because it's basically stories from the past, and I love a good story. Honestly, I think it's a crime that some educational systems make history so boring and tedious because it robs us of the important lessons from the past. Dates and names are one thing, but it's the backstories that really intrigue me so much. The stories behind the stories, if you know what I mean. In this week's message from Joshua, we're going to examine why history, specifically our history with God, is so important. And as we begin reading the text of chapter 4 today, we see that the Israelites have done what was seemingly impossible. With God's help, they've crossed the Jordan River at peak flood season, no less. All Manitobans take note, at peak flood season. During the crossing, God gives Joshua very specific instructions for his people. Each of the tribes is to choose one representative to bring a rock, probably a large rock, out of the middle of the river where the priests are standing with the Ark of the Covenant. That night, when they make camp, the 12 stones are erected as a monument to what God did for his people. For those of you reading this passage at home, I've included the text of Joshua 4 here. I find it so interesting that the first thing that God commands his people to do in this part of the story is to put up fortifications, supply chains for the attack on Jericho, sentries to guard against the enemy. The first thing he does is build a monument to what just happened. God is so aware of our short attention span and our tendency to forget where we've come from. Taking possession of a new place and all the planning and work involved will take up most of their energy and concentration. And during this process, the people would naturally drift away from their relationship with God. It becomes so easy for us to treat God as some kind of cosmic vending machine where if we just press the right buttons, we will get what we want. Our relationship with God can deteriorate to the point where it becomes very transactional. I do this for you, you do this for me, and there's really no relationship beyond that getting stuff from God. And God's desire is that we grow to know and trust and to enjoy love, capital L, love's presence with us all the time. That's why this monument at this place called Gilgal, where they camped that first night after crossing the Jordan River, is so strategic. Listen to the words of Joshua from chapter 4 after the monument is built. In the future, when your descendants ask their parents, What do these stories mean? Tell them, Israel crossed the Jordan on dry ground. For the Lord your God dried up the Jordan before you until you had crossed over. The Lord your God did to the Jordan what he had done to the Red Sea when he dried it up before us until we had crossed over. He did this so that all the peoples of the earth might know that the hand of the Lord is powerful, and so that you might always fear the Lord your God. There were two purposes in building this monument. First of all, it was to remind God's people of what God had done for them in their generation. Just like in a previous generation, he parted the Red Sea. For their generation, he parted a flooding Jordan River. The second reason they built this monument was to demonstrate to all the peoples around that God was in the hood. He was in the neighborhood. And God, the Almighty Jehovah, was with his people. And that his all-powerful hand was with them. So in the future, when the descendants of the people who had crossed the Jordan viewed this monument, they would be asked, Grandma, Grandpa, tugging at their cloak here, what do these rocks mean? What's with this pile of rocks? And then the adult would patiently, always patiently, explain to the child, well, that's a good question. Now let me tell you about the time when I was just a wee tad your size, that our God stopped the Jordan River in the middle of full flood so we could cross into this new country where we are today. And so the story would be repeated and repeated and repeated all through those generations. Recently, in one of my messages, I warned us about the danger of living in the past. There are no good old days, I said, only days. And with God's good grace, we can look ahead to some good new days together with him. However, it seems like I may contradict myself here, so please listen carefully. I know you're always listening carefully, especially when I whisper. So listen carefully to the nuances of what I'm going to explain. Some of us will be tempted to live in the past and to stay stuck there, perhaps in good or bad memories. That's nostalgia, and it can pleasantly blur out all of our challenging memories. For example, when we reminisce about raising children, it can be very common for us to remember how cute these little relatives were when they were young, and to forget about all the sleepless nights, interrupted meals, and feeling trapped by the demands of young children. We all have a tendency to bury negative memories, and I'm one of those people. I still remember trying to wrangle 3 young kids in the grocery lineup and how infuriating it was to have some older person walk by and smile and almost literally pat me on the head and say, "Oh, I remember those days. Enjoy them while they're young." "Yeah, right," I'd mutter under their breath, under my breath. "Fat chance of that." And then they become adolescents. But that's another story. That's another story. So now, when I see young parents wrestling with small children in the grocery lineup, I try to be more encouraging and realistic. God commands us not to go to nostalgia, but he commands us to remember. Because remembering helps to remind us of who we are. Remember literally means to put back together. It's the exact opposite of dismember. The difficulties and stress of life have a way of pulling us apart. Have you ever felt yourself saying or thinking, "I feel like I'm literally falling apart"? That is being dismembered emotionally. Remembering what God has done in our lives is a way of reminding us of our true identity, who we really are. We need to reconnect with God on a regular basis so we can be reminded of our true identity and our true value in God's perspective. So our question is, how do we help our community and family members remember what God has done in our lives? What's been helpful for you? Maybe you can tell me and reply in the chat or email me or phone me or contact me somehow. What helps you to remember what God has done for us? And how do we make this a regular practice in our lives? What helps you to reconnect with God on a regular basis? And how do you feel when you do that? Some people do journaling. They write down answers to prayer in a book or record it. Now, please, before you get all guilty and self-condemning and wishing things were different and feeling bad about what you're not doing, could we please take a time out? I would like to establish a guilt-free zone here at Friends Community Church where we do not feel bad about what we're not currently doing, and maybe we're open to new possibilities, learning new habits. So why not, instead of wishing things were different, why not try something new? Here's a challenge for a week. At the end of each day, try taking a few moments to ask yourself, where did I feel close to God today? Where did I feel most alive? And why? What was going on? Conversely, we can also ask ourselves, where did I feel far away from God today? And what was going on? It might help to write down just a few notes in a private space so you can refer back to them later on. As we build our spiritual memory muscles, are you impressed with that bicep? We begin to remember who we are in God's sight, not anyone else's. Just think about the other voices in our lives who try to tell us the answer to the following question: who am I? Well, to the Canada Revenue Agency, I am a 9-digit number. To a political pollster, I am a slice of the election demographic. To big business, I'm a consumer of goods and a marketing target. To big data and Google and all their analytics, I'm someone to be analyzed and used for their profit. To whoever follows me on social media, and I'm not that active, sorry, I am my own carefully curated image. And to other people, maybe friends, neighbors, and relatives, I might be someone who is supposed to meet their needs and expectations. Hopefully, we all have some people in our lives who value us for who we are and not what we do. There are all kinds of messages competing for our attention. And just as the Israelites moved into this new territory and were surrounded with competing cultures, with competing values, and values that didn't come from God, where they'd be quickly pulled off in all kinds of directions, God wanted them to zero in on who they were and remember their identity in Him. There are all kinds of messages competing for our attention. But God says we are His beloved children, dearly loved. 1 John 3, 1 and 2 invites us to live out of our true identity. And it goes like this. This is a quote out of the Message. What marvelous love the Father has extended to us. Just look at it. We're called children of God. That's who we really are. But that's also why the world doesn't recognize us or take us seriously, because it has no idea of who he is or what he is up to. But friends, that's exactly who we are, children of God. And that's only the beginning. Who knows how we'll end up? What we know now is that when Christ is openly revealed, we'll see him, and in seeing him, become like him. Wow, what a promise. We're dearly loved children, and God invites us to live out of our true identity. There's an old song called "You're Nobody Till Somebody Loves You." Don't worry, I won't serenade you with it. Michael Bublé and some other modern-day lounge singers have dusted this old one off and modernized it. And on the surface level, I've got to tell you, this song is pure garbage. Why? It's a catchy tune. The lyrics are pure garbage, and here's why I think they are. I don't need another person to determine my true value. You're nobody till somebody just loves you. No, I'm already somebody. And what happens if I'm in a relationship that suddenly goes sideways and becomes toxic and unhealthy? Does that mean I'm suddenly nobody again if no one loves me? However, let's look at this song from a slightly different perspective. What if that somebody the songwriter is describing is not another human being, but what if that somebody is our Creator? What happens when I realize my value and worth comes from being loved by the one who made me? What if that somebody, with a capital S, loved me before I was even conceived in my mother's womb? Wow, that's life-changing and mind-boggling at the same time. My English friends would say, I was gobsmacked. It's amazing. So that's why these memorials were so crucial to the survival and prosperity of the new nation of Israel that God was establishing. When we forget who we are, we easily go off course and become entangled in destructive patterns and behaviors. We allow the surrounding culture to influence us so much that we lose track of our true value in God's sight. And our Creator is the only one who can really give us our true identity. So, what is the equivalent of building a memorial at Gilgal for us today? I suppose we could put up a big pile of rocks in front of the church, something for us to explain to the neighbors. Or we might come up with something else, perhaps something a little more portable, like a prayer journal or notes or something like that to remind us of who we are. Perhaps we can make it part of our daily routine to look in the mirror and remind ourselves that we are God's beloved children, like it says in 1 John 3, 1 and 2. You might want to even put this on a sticky note on your, wherever you look regularly, on your bathroom mirror or your refrigerator, maybe not your car, because I want you to keep your eyes on the road, and just repeat this verse to yourself. What marvelous love the Father has extended to us. Just look at it. We're called children of God. That's who we really are. But that's also why the world doesn't recognize us or take us seriously, because it has no idea of who He is or what He's up to. But friends, that's exactly who we are, children of God. And that's only the beginning. Who knows how we'll end up? What we know is that when Christ is openly revealed, we'll see Him, and in seeing Him, become like Him. Have a great week, friends. Remember who we are as God's beloved children. We'll see you next week.
Shalom to you, shalom, my friend, shalom, shalom.
Christ is Lord, in peace and in love. Shalom, shalom. The Lord watch over you and me. Shalom, shalom. And though we part, we'll meet again. Shalom, shalom. The love of Christ, the peace of God, rest on